What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Captain's Lounge. I am the Captain, and
You're now watching the Captain.
today, guys,
Oh,
is
that
gonna
was
be.
that was was that your intro? My bad.
Oh no, that was good. No, you good. I was running the intro real
Copy,
quick,
copy.
and now that you guys know who I am and what we are here for and where you are, I'm here to introduce a special guest, a first timer on the channel, but hopefully not the last timer. My guy Ace the Outsider. How you doing, my man?
Yo, feeling good, feeling good. See Diesel, man. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me onto the show from one comic connoisseur to another.
Hey man, I try. I'm getting more into it as of now.
Yeah.
But I'm working on. I'm working on it, man. What you been having going on, man? How you doing?
I'm feeling
Been
good, man. I'm feeling good. It's the weekend. I'm super excited. As you can see, I got my I don't know if you could tell, I got my Earth Kingdom Avatar jersey on with this black crown and the Dinkra symbols hoodie on underneath. So it's the fall time, man. It's getting cold, so I got the layers working for me and everything. So yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be at. Cozied up, reading some comic books.
Cause you up north, so they got. I know the cold is like kicking your ass right now.
Man, it was fine for a minute. Like it was really good weather, and then like today is when it finally started. Okay, now this is the weather we thought we were gonna get in October, but we got it now. So it's all good, man. I'm feeling really good.
Well, man, we are here for a very special thing. As you know, I'm a fan of two things on this
Hmm.
channel. I'm a fan of some good old horror stuff. So obviously, I'm a fan of the Predator series, as
Yeah.
well as I'd be remiss if I was not a fan of the Kingdom of Wakanda and the leader himself, Mr. Black Panther T'Challa, and the various different forms of him.
Yes, sir.
So it
Yeah.
was to my surprise and to my dismay that I didn't know about this thing, that there was a mini series being rolled out in which these two individuals got to clash, and we
Yeah.
get to see who came out on top. So for
Hmm.
anybody that is just now watching or just now like finding out this information, there is a mini series out now, 4-issue run of the Predator versus the Black Panther. It dropped, I think, a couple weeks ago because I'm coming in late on it because when I found out about it, all 4 issues were
Yeah.
already like out. So I'm
Yeah. A
late to
few
the
months
game.
ago, it was like late summer, probably like if not September, then maybe like August that it came out. Yeah.
So I discovered this series from watching your TikTok clip on it. And everybody's interested to see it. Could you tell them where they can find your TikTok really quickly before we get into it?
Yeah, Ace underscore the outsider on TikTok. Most platforms are Ace the outsider. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did a video on it, giving his thoughts on it, which is something very interesting in my opinion compared to what I would assume this would be. So do you want to go ahead and give your thoughts and your general sentiments over how the run itself went as a
Yeah,
whole?
yeah, yeah. Well, first, I'm gonna just give a little bit more to my introduction. So,
Yeah, yeah,
for
go
those
ahead.
who don't know, my name is Ace the Outsider. I've been covering Black Panther titles for less than maybe like 5 or 6 years. I used to have an organization that's going through a bit of a hiatus right now, but it was called the Wakanda Alliance. And in that program, we taught kids about Black history, African history, world history using Black Panther comic books and a few other select titles. And so that led me to create this wonderful experience where I was teaching kids about their history, but also building their creative skills using comic books. And so they would write their own stories. They would take one story and finish they would hear one version of the story, then finish it themselves. They would do different vocabulary exercises and just kind of expanding the whole worldview. So as you can see in my room, you see you got a couple Black Panthers right there. There's a picture of Chadwick Boseman, a couple other comics. I got the first check we earned from the program, whole bunch of Black Panthers. Probably like the only main comic book title that I read consistently. So yeah, big old fan of him ever since I saw him on Marvel Ultimate Alliance. The idea of the Predator coming from also like an advanced alien civilization where it's all about the hunt. Like hunting that's they thing. So I'm thinking like, oh, this is such a good mashup. And yeah, and I was just like, all right, let's see how this pans out. So 4 issues. So where do we start? We start with issue number one, or you just wanted some backstory on it?
Let's start with issue number one to get. Well, I'll ask here for a second. I thought the stream died.
Gotcha.
Let's start with. Well, we can just do with a general overview over the series itself really quickly. Before I get into
Yeah.
that, I want to make sure I let everybody know in the chat. Thank y'all for tuning in. For the new faces, Von Birdo, Heaven Farmer, thank you so much. And we got Mr. Terrell in the building. He said, "I'm going to need a Black Panther suit for that Buffalo winter." Yeah, you probably gonna need one. I'm not gonna lie to you. But for people that aren't aware, so this general comic is going to show that there are, I guess, the Yao's, for people that aren't aware, are the race that the predators are known as in the comic books. And they essentially do what you would expect them to do from the movies. They hunt, they look for the best and brightest thing to hunt to validate themselves. And I guess they let the comic know they let everybody in the reading the comic know in the beginning that there is a king of the Yaojuo, or at least a specific subsect of them, and then there are two princes, and these two princes have the ambition to become the king. One is highly favored because he has a little bit more physical prowess. He's tall, strong. The other one is a Yaojuo and a predator, as you would accustomed to be seeing as being just kind of large, but he has a couple of disabilities. Like he's missing a leg. He's not as strong, not as fast as his brother. So there is essentially this vibranium spear that the king holds that he looks at as being like his pride and joy from his favorite hunt of all time. And this vibranium spear, as you can imagine, is very strong because it's made out of vibranium. He shows favor to the more capable brother in giving him the spear and kind of pretty much giving him the green light to become the new king at some point in time. The brother takes that as a form of disrespect to an extent, being overlooked, and decides, well, hey, my brother has a spear. We're gonna go to war, and I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna take the crown. Long story short,
not kick his ass.
Yeah, long story short, he did not kick his ass. He lost that fight and ends up having his entire clan most of his clan murdered. He has a lot more than I thought he did. And he seeks to garner revenge and take the crown back by going to Earth, to where the metal that vibranium spear is made out of, obviously, as everybody would know, is in Wakanda. Seeks to go to Wakanda, get some metal, build a suit of armor, whatever it may be, and go back, kick his brother's ass, and take his crown. So, not too complicated of a story, but to get into it, let's go. Do you have any issues, I guess, with how that portion went thus far, as far as the opening to the Yaojuo?
I thought it was a great setup because, especially like me not knowing much about the Predators besides what I've seen in like certain movies, it seems cool to give them like a really fleshed out story, because it's always being told from the human's perspective, right? Like they're either running from it or whatever the case is. It's cool to actually see it from like their perspective, also in their voice too. They're not speaking like the bubbles, but there's still like the narration behind it, where like that's the creature's thoughts, that's the Yachua's thoughts. So it was pretty cool to see that set up, and like the idea of them having a history with Wakanda made it a whole different thing. I'm like, okay, so they got, like, I expected those type of ties to come back later in the series, which we'll get into that momentarily, but I thought that was a fantastic setup. Even the idea of like his ambition, right? Being disgraced by your own royal family, and on top of that, getting your ass kicked up and down the block and then tied up and humiliated. It wasn't just like he lost, he was humiliated. And them being a warrior race, that pride is a lot. You feel me? So it was really cool to see that part. And now he has a reason for being in Wakanda. He's going for the ultimate hunt, which, again, this has to be, Black Panther was so ideal, right? Because there's Wolverine, right? I didn't get to read Predator versus Wolverine, but that's definitely a great hunt, right? You got this body skeleton dude made out of pure adamantium, and he's a beast, like, in all shapes and forms of the word. And then even back in the day, there was a Batman versus Predator. I don't know if you ever saw that, but they had a Batman.
I saw the art for that. Yeah, I never read the actual. I saw the art for it.
I want to say I got a number 2 or something. I don't have the whole series, but I feel like I have one of those issues somewhere in my deep box treasure chest of collections. But yeah, Black Panther seemed like the ultimate choice for this series.
Yeah, it only seemed right to me, especially when you're looking at the aspect of like a hunter and being hunted. Because Black Panther is such a not really necessarily a hunt. Well, he's a hunter, but you don't necessarily see him always on the hunt for somebody. You just see him always being stealthy, taking advantage of his stealth and things of that nature. So the aspect of the stealthy guy being out stealthed was actually kind of cool. And I was interested to see like how they were going to go about showcasing the gap in skill set or the gap in technology, because obviously we know that the Wakandans have the most, if not the most advanced technology on planet Earth, and then the Yaojuo are rather like extremely advanced in their own right in their galaxy and in general. And I love the way that they kind of interwove like a little bit of lore there as well, showing that the Yaojuo had a initial contact with the Wakandans years ago and fought them there, and they used part of the Yaojuo technology to build their cloaking device and their shield for the city. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because I always understood the aspect of the Wakanda is rich and they're always rich because they have the most valuable resource in the world, being vibranium. But I'm like, damn, how did they advance their technology so fast in Africa?
Yeah.
And if they had
Yeah.
contact with aliens like this and had this little bit of a boost, that would make sense. And I think it makes it a little bit better. That's sick to me in regards to how that operates.
To me, it's a bit of a two-sided, because one way you feel like, oh, it's cool that they were able to take something from their fallen enemy and then adapt it into their own technology and then build something off of that. But by the same token, it's like usually Wakanda's greatness comes from them kind of having their own ingenuity when it comes to their own technology. And so instead of them kind of discovering having this cloaking technology that's just decades, maybe centuries beyond what most other humans were able to do, that kind of takes away a little bit, just by a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They're still able to adapt and everything, but it kind of took away that independence that they've had as, their own in their own right as far as a technologically advanced society. But I wasn't too mad at it. The other thing is, like, this isn't canon. Like, none of the stuff that happens here is not gonna like show up in like the main Marvel comic universe, 616 universe. So, you get to play around with things like that, which I think is fun. And it also gets to kind of take the barriers off. Like, anything's on the table, right? Which is why I think there could have been a lot of different ways this ended. But again, we'll get to that later.
Right. Really quickly, y'all, though, before we get into it, I have to stop the show really quickly.
Go ahead.
See, Ace, what that sound is, that sound means we have a super chat in the building, y'all.
Super chat.
I want to super chat in the building. My guy Terrell, the owner of Blood, I appreciate you, big dog. He has the comment of he needs some of that slimy producy before they touch down in Mercus. Hashtag
oh my God.
Big Mama. Hey, man. Hey, it's got to be fire.
God.
That's all I'm saying. It's got to be fire, right? It's got to be fire. I don't know, man. It's got to be fire.
He want them dread swinging in his face. That's what he want.
He wants some mandible dome.
He want to be held up with one hand over here.
The mandible jawbone.
Right. I mean, they gotta have some crazy king traps. You know what I mean? They gotta have some wild shit. So I mean, good for him. Good for him. Not me.
Man, not me though. I don't know about all that.
If Terrell got to take the dub or the L for the team, hey, for the planet Earth, you got it, brother.
Right. But yeah, moving on into it. Obviously, they get Death by Stu Snow is crazy. They get to the planet, and the one thing that I thought was really dope about this is the factor of there was no we're just going to do this story and it's going to be happy-go-lucky kumbaya. There's actually death here and actually stakes. Like, we saw a lot of the Dora Milaje, and I cannot remember the name of the male equivalent, I guess, of the Secret Service force that he has there in the white version of the Black Panther.
Akili and the War Dogs, yeah. The Hatsutzarazi is what they're called.
Yeah, they got murked by the Predators. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I understand they're going to fight, but the Predators are literally known for catching bodies. At some point, because I know it's going to be simple for the Wakandans to like just show them getting kills because they're there to protect their land. But like you have to kill somebody. And although they didn't kill any like super important characters, like Shuri didn't die or Okoye didn't get murdered, I feel like seeing other characters close to them dying did make me believe like maybe we'll get one of those deaths, especially this being like a mini series where it's not like a thing that's going to be affected into the main Marvel timeline as far as things go at the moment. But that was dope though. It was dope to see that back and forth. It wasn't just a one-sided fight on either side.
Yeah, getting let them get loose. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Again, about having a separate universe, you're able to have whatever you want happen. And so So the Dora Milaje and the Hatsutzarazi, they was getting hunted too. Like, as great as a fighter as they are, like the tech and the stealth of the Predators that factors in. Especially a lot of it is like sneak attacks. Which is what a Predator does. The Predator doesn't just touch down, yell at you, and just like tell you to come on. Like, no, it's gonna sneak up on your ass and murk you. Oh, but then they got their licks in too. And that's why I'm like, so you got a small army versus a small army. You got the Dora fighting back too. They caught a couple of bodies, with the spears and everything like that. That's the thing about the Dora as well. They're not just limited to that spear action. They know they're also marksmen. They're also hand-to-hand combatants. They're also well-versed in different type of espionage and combat and technology. So it's all these different things that they are. And some of that didn't get to shine in this comic, which is fine. But like I said, they're still badasses. But them predators, man, the types of traps they have is just like
Bro, it
like
was
the
tough.
laser wire joint where it just like keeps getting tighter and tighter. Oh my god, I would not want to be diced in that
Yeah,
type of thing.
because you see a lot of the classic Predator weaponry that you would see from the movies with like the death net vice thing that
Yeah,
they have, where the net just constantly continues to tighten until it like cubes you essentially, and different things
man.
like that. But
Yeah,
it was cool to see that. But I think
yeah,
the most important thing I wanted to kind of bring up here in regards to the Dormilaje too, it kind of showed a little bit of humanness to them. I feel
mm-hmm,
like in a lot of the comics, and especially in the MCU itself, the Dormilaje sometimes seem like this immovable, unstoppable war force, and it kind
mm-hmm.
of seemed inhuman at some points. And I felt like showing just
Okay.
like a little chink in the armor made me like them a little bit more, showing that they're human. I remember there's
Yeah.
like the one moment in particular where T'Challa catches up with them, and he's like, "Hey," he's kind of talking about what's going on, and she admits, she's like, "Yeah, we forgot all our trainings. We were kind of scared in the moment because we had never faced any
Yeah.
enemy like this." Because again, when you're fighting a
Yeah.
man and like a man force is like, what do I have to fear? It's another man. But when I see this mandible monster in front of me, I'm like, okay, it just took me by surprise for a moment, and then they kind of have to
Right.
gather themselves later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I totally agree with that. Because I mean, yeah, they're humans. Like, yo, what the hell is this freakish thing? Like, and the thing is, they usually always have some type of data on a creature. If not, they're quick to gather it. These monsters snuck in through their systems and started hunting them down, and they were winning. Yes, there. I'd be fucking shook too. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. And even though that happened, they still didn't back down. Like they all regrouped and found a way to fight back. So especially once their leader jumped in, like T'Challa. So if y'all reading in the first issue, T'Challa gets shot in the head, and
Mhm.
like, see Diesel, can you describe that shoulder mounted cannon that they have? Because in this comic they don't like show it really, it just like happens and then a person falls over. So is it like a concussive blast type of thing, or is it an
It's
actual
it's
laser?
it's a from what I remember, it's like a plasma cannon from
Uh-huh.
the movies. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be a death blast. Like when you see it done used
Right.
in the movies, it blows a hole, like a triangular hole, whatever it is. Like usually it's a
Yeah.
headshot. But again, because he's wearing vibranium armor, it kind of just took that kinetic energy and dissipated it.
Dissipated it.
So it really, the
Yeah.
most it did to him was give him a concussion. Is what they really harped on the fact that he got a concussion. They were like talking about his brain swelling and different things like that, which just kind of
Yeah.
showed that yes, they have advanced technology, but vibranium still is king in this
Mm-hmm.
warfare.
Yeah. The Yajuda call it their god metal, and
Hmm.
they stumble upon a whole mound of it. So it wasn't just like they went to find the origin of this metal, but they ain't not only found like the origin, they found a mound of it. And so once he saw that, he was like, "Oh, it's not." He was rubbing his hands together, like, "Yeah, I'm about to build a whole bunch of things. I'm about to build spears, weapons, traps. Like everything's about to go down." So but yeah, Charlie gets shot in the head by one of them concussive blasts, comes back out the water. He's like, all right, yo, who the hell did that? Yeah, and then he goes on a hunt. Then he sees the Dora Milaje sprawled out like dead
Hmm.
bodies all over the place. And of course, like the Dora mean a lot to this man. Those are his, I mean, they were wives in training at some point in the continuity. Now, not as
Hmm.
much, but they still kind of are. But
Hmm.
those are his beloveds, right? And he is their beloved. So he's seeing his sister spread out on the ground, which is like, oh, you would think he was about to let loose. And so, he rescues Okoye, he starts fighting back, and now you're starting to see the predator bodies drop. Like he had when he caught the one who was running up on him while he was invisible, caught him and kicked him in the face, not only disabled his the cloaking technology, but then knocked this man into the swamp, and he got spit up by a crocodile. I did not see that shit coming.
I gate
And
him.
like the wildlife in Wakanda are so much, they're different genetically because of the vibranium and everything. It changes the DNA structure because of the radiation that vibranium gives off, and so it turns plants and animals into more like not just ravenous, but just more like different creatures. And so yes, this giant gator bit up and swallowed or sorry, it didn't swallow. It did bite. It started biting him, and then as he's getting chewed up, Chala throws an energy dart at his head to put him out of his misery. I'm like, this is what I've been waiting on. Like, I love
Hmm.
when superheroes don't have to hold back. Like all that human to human, oh, spare him type shit. Nah, it's out the
Mhm.
window.
And that's one I
Yeah.
want to take a quick pause on the story and kind of rewind a little bit to a little bit
Yeah.
of the subplot because there is
Yeah.
like a subplot here in which we kind of see these same old plot in regards to Wakanda wanting to open its borders to go assist other places. We see that that's something that Shuri is like still trying to beat into this version of T'Challa's head of like, hey, we have all the power, the technology, the intellect. We need to go help these people, especially in our own country that
Yeah.
needs assistance. And obviously, like you would expect for most of the versions of T'Challa, he's like, no, my job is to protect my people. Like we'll assist, but we'll
Hmm.
assist in our own way. So they're having that I don't know how I felt about that. I feel like that subplot was supposed to come more into fruition later on in regards to the overall arcing narrative of this Yowzer coming to attack. I felt like
Hmm.
that subplot was kind of just not really needed. It felt kind of wasted because they didn't really do much with it per se.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was kind of like the subplot to get Shuri to leave
Hmm.
Wakanda's borders are vulnerable, right? We saw her get locked out of the Wakanda dome because
Right.
when she tried to turn back, she crashed into the side of it. So, and then that's when the Predator began to hunt her down. And she's outside of the country, or she's outside of the border. She's with this old sage, and he's like predicting more famine and all the suffering in the planet itself. So that was a subplot that I thought they were gonna do more with, and I think that was the intention going into it. But maybe they just found out, oh, we can only do 4 issues. So how we gonna work with this? So but no, I'm sorry, that does come back, doesn't he? I forgot how Chala looks into the astral plane and finds out the past history between Wakanda and the Yakuza.
So I think he goes to speak to his grandfather. I'm blanking on his name at the moment in time, but I know it's his
Okay.
grandfather. And his grandfather
Okay.
gave him the history on like the original interaction with Yauja,
Hmm.
but I don't remember. Like he was kind of letting him know, like, "Hey, I'm a protector first and foremost." Kind of giving him the same speech that T'Challa gave to Shuri, and I'm like,
Right.
"That's cool, but how is that developing?" Because in my mind, the way I was predicting this to go was
Uh-huh.
this would be a thing to where they have the conflict, and maybe to get the Yowza to leave, T'Challa gives him a piece of vibranium or like a vibranium weapon similar to what they did with Captain America, and then they leave, and that helps him
Hmm.
to go take his kingdom over, and now he has a ally in space in the Predators.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
they introduced this, and it didn't really ever feel like there was an arc for T'Challa where he like decided to assist people. It was more of a thing of like, hey, I'm a protector first, meets his grandfather. I'm a protector first, you're a protector first, and then that's it. There's
Hmm.
no like more evolving in that realm. And then maybe I
Yeah.
thought it would be a thing to where like the Avengers come help more because Falcon was brought into this issue later on into the story, like near the end, which I wasn't a big fan of his design. I'm not gonna lie. I thought this Falcon was one of the more worst looking ones that I've seen.
I
Um,
hated the red and white outfit. Even when he was on the Avengers cartoon, I hated the outfit. I was not he's like the only like black superhero I was not excited for when he came on screen. Next is like Black Lightning. Well, Black Vulcan back when the Super Friends were on. He was like
mhm,
cool, but he wasn't like that cool for whatever reason it was. But
right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
liked
I
him in
never liked the outfit.
as you watch. There's like a '90s animated Avengers show that had like Wonder Man, Scarlet Witch,
Yes,
Vision.
that's the one I'm talking about. I
The one
didn't
you
like
come
his
out, yeah.
outfit. Yeah, I didn't like
I
his
gotta go back
outfit.
and look at it again. I thought I remember liking it, but I think what I didn't like about this was like the wings being so like transformer looking, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
weren't
yeah, I got
retractable
you.
either, so it kind of looked like a bootleg version of Angel from the X-Men. And I'm just like, all right, this is what it is. Um,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, like his inclusion in this was like, okay, we just brought in this character to do one specific thing. And it was like, yeah, I understand this is a mini series, and they can't just like do a bunch of setup in regards to planning out for like 15 issues in the future. But I
Yeah.
was like, man, I feel like this could have been written just a little bit tighter in regards to that, and you didn't need to have those aspects in it to make this a dope story.
It definitely could. And one of the things I'm gonna bring up later on too, but I'm gonna just dip into a little bit is
Mm,
another time where aliens invaded Wakanda was with the scrolls. And so when the scrolls came, it was a whole different experience. It was like maybe 1 or 2 issues. So it's the original Hudlin run of Black Panther, so about 2008, 2009.
mhm.
And him and Storm are married, like they're still operating together. And then the scrolls come to invade Wakanda. And it was just a totally different ball game. They blew these boys out the water. And when I tell you it wasn't this like defeats, they were decapitating them like on the field. You saw T'Challa walk around with scroll heads. Like it was gruesome. So again, like it's great that the Predators are like another like a different more of a match. Right, the scrolls are one thing, but the Predators, they had their whole approach. Instead of bringing up this army to Wakanda's doorstep, they snuck their way in
Mm-hmm.
and started to exploit them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, but I'll speak more on that.
Right. And so moving forward into the story, obviously we see that the younger brother Yaojua, like he gets in, he finds the vibranium mound, like you said before, and they essentially get in there and start mining away at some of the vibranium there. And as that whole process is going on, you essentially just see that um T'Challa just kind of tracking him down. Like he recovers from being concussed from that plasma blast, finds the Dora Milaje that are still alive at this point, and they just book it towards the mound to go assist and save everybody. We get into the mound, and we get to see a little bit more of the tactics being used here that you saw in some of the movies, where the Predators or one of them murdered. I'm blanking on the Secret Service
Achille.
of the. Yeah, they murder Achille, and well, no, they murder his. Well, yeah, they murder Achille, but they murder his friend. He
Yeah,
stops down to kind of pay homage to his dead friend, and then they murder him as well. But you see this thing that they do in the films a lot, to where they record a voice of a person and they use
yeah,
that voice to either bait somebody into coming by themselves into the area, or maybe bait them into anger. And at this moment in time, it felt like he was kind of baiting him to act recklessly or kind of entice him to fight a little bit more.
yeah.
At least T'Challa, that being said, enticing him to fight some more, and that was kind of dope to
Hmm.
me. I
Yeah,
love seeing how much attention they put into showcasing what the Yauja can actually do in regards to their history throughout cinema and throughout the films. Of like, okay, we're gonna use
hmm,
all the assets that they have to kind of show you, okay, this isn't just a glorified promo, which it is to an extent, but we're going to make sure we
yeah.
take some care with all these characters to show the different little aspects of them.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And again, even though they're like aware of vibranium, but they're not like totally aware of it.
Hmm.
And so we really didn't get to see the Wakandans rely on their vibranium to fight back because it was a sneak attack, because it was, they were caught off guard. And so, which, yeah, now they have like Wakandas have a lot of tools. The Dora have a lot of tools, and the what's name have a lot of tools. But because there's only 4 issues, you got to run through it real quick. But yeah, like I said, they got caught off guard and they got their ass murked. But they were also murking them back. Like the child was jumping out of bushes, snapping predator necks. I was like, yo,
That
you
was
tearing some
he like
people up.
snapped the dude's neck in a headlock. I was like, oh, that's
Yo,
crazy.
right. Right. Oh man, the combat in here was pretty fun. But again, to evoke that horrorness too, right? Because Predator
Mhm.
movies are like a sci-fi horror. And so the idea of them using different tactics and everything like that, like you want the Wakandans to feel preyed on, right? You want whoever are the protagonists to feel preyed on. I think they did that exceptionally well. So yeah, I was pleased. For like 3.5 of the 4 issues were fantastic. And then, Falcon showed up and I'm like, okay, this is an omen. What does this mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I wanted them to have their end of it, like to be able to fend off the Yajuda by themselves. I wanted them to like to use their use their resources. And Shuri and Falcon have like this team up, which is like kind of weird because she's just like, oh, well, who are you? You don't know who. I thought y'all had intel. Like, well, Shuri's more tech based, so whatever. She doesn't have the intel, but like he just kind of randomly pops up and just starts helping because of this distress signal because she's locked out of the whatever. Which she could have figured out how to get back in. Like Falcon really doesn't serve much of a purpose besides being a glorified human jetpack for Shuri. Pretty much what it boiled down to.
Essentially, for like the one ending attack there.
Yeah, we'll get back to that, but like, yeah. So again, seeing Falcon, that was like the omen for me because are we gonna get to the fight scene between T'Challa? You ready to go there yet?
Yeah, we can speak on that really quickly. So essentially, they have this really showcases the similarities in their cultures. Because you essentially have a moment to where T'Challa finally confronts the younger brother, and the younger brother is like, "Hey, I've been waiting on you." He takes off his armor, takes off his mask, and picks up a spear, and he's like, "All right, 1v1, no armor. We just gonna go at it like warriors. This is what we gonna do." And
Yeah.
T'Challa, like without even speaking the same language verbally, is like, yeah, I already know what time it is. Because
Mhm.
initially Okoye is like, hey, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm your protector. He's like, I think I'm supposed to take care of this one at this point right here. We're supposed to be two warriors here. And they take that 1v1. And it was dope to see that. And that was something that this is one setup that they did set up earlier in the series that kind of paid off here was the regards of T'Challa's reliance on the armor. Because the
Mhm.
first issue starts off with like a training sequence where T'Challa is hunting his guard essentially,
Yeah.
and because he has vibranium armor in a lot of these training sessions, he's able to kind of take them down relatively easily. And that's something that Shuri's like kind of preaching is like, hey, how about you fight 1v1 for once? Because she hacks his armor and then gets rid of his armor, and now he has to fight Okoye 1v1. So having that kind of come back around
And
here really
did.
quickly was nice.
And he did, and he won.
Yeah, he won that one pretty
So,
easily.
yeah, he's still king. He's still king. He's still a master combatant, which I think was a nice little ode to his ability too. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it was cool to see that because um so I'm in another Discord with a lot of Black Panther fans, longtime fans who have been following him for years, and they're not satisfied with almost any Black Panther material that's out there, has been out there for the past maybe 5+ years.
Mhm.
So, they'll see things like Akili, who isn't like he's major to like Wakanda lore. He's not really major in like other like Avengers or whatever.
Right.
He's basically like, he's the head of the Hatazarazi, which was the White Wolves, T'Challa's stepbrother. That was his position. And then when he left, they brought in Akili. And some people will look at him, Akili being killed off, as like a sign that they're trying to take, the black man out the picture, right? And the same thing with, what's going to happen a little bit later, with how T'Challa handles the combat scene, right? So
Mm.
I'll touch back a little bit on that a little bit, but just to say that they catch on to certain things and they're just like, what does this actually mean? Like, is there some type of double meaning behind this? And then you're like, nah, that can't be it. But then you add it up, you're like, you know what? I can see why you might feel that way, and I think I might be feeling the same way too. So, but I digress. We'll get to the final fight
We
first.
don't get
But
to it because
yeah,
I do want to have
yeah,
that conversation in regards to how Black Panther and a lot of other Black characters in comics are kind of depicted.
yeah.
Um, but to get into the rest of the story again, they have that 1v1 fight, and it obviously ends in T'Challa winning this fight. And I will say there is a little bit of wasted potential here because they say in the first two issues just how much the younger brother is adept in his intelligence. Because they're like, yeah, he's not the most physically fast, physically strong combatant, but
Right.
he's intelligent and he loaded his body up with different cybernetic enhancements because he realized that he can't just fight on his own morals. They showcased
Yeah.
that because his brother, essentially, when his brother beat him, his brother tied him up to a post and left him to die. And the way he got off that post was that he had essentially like a Wolverine like blade, like the blades that they
That
normally have in
shit
their
was
gauntlets.
crazy. When I
Yeah,
saw that
yeah.
shit, I was like, yo, wait a minute. This about to get they
And
with
that
this first
never
issue.
came back around. I'm thinking that's gonna be a
No.
thing in this fight where maybe he catches T'Challa off guard with it, and it just is never used again.
Oh no,
I
he
don't.
does.
Does he use it again
Yeah.
in this
Yeah,
final
yeah.
fight?
So in
Am I
the final
blinking?
fight, which is all of 1.5 pages, T'Challa like drop kicks him. No blood on the alien spill. Like the rest of the comic, you're seeing green blood splatter everywhere, like it's
Right.
Nickelodeon in the 90s with Slime Time Live. You're seeing green blood everywhere. T'Challa's catching bodies, Doors catching bodies. And so, when it comes to their fight, it's so quick. Like he deflects a couple things, jumps around him, and like hits it with a drop kick, and then he falls over. And then T'Challa takes the spear, holds it up to his neck, and he's like, "Do you yield?" And so, in that split moment of him doing that, the Predator, I forgot if he even has a name,
No, it's called
I
him
guess
younger
spins
brother.
around the claw, because the claw didn't come out like during their fight until right now. And so it was hidden. And so the hidden claw comes out. He slices through T'Challa's leg and stabs him in the arm. And then the Predator gets up and he flees.
That's what it was.
And
Okay.
so, yeah, so a few things with that. One, I don't know why T'Challa is asking him to yield. Like, I don't know if he planned to like capture him and try to question him and try to figure out where he is, where he's from, and all that stuff. I don't know if that was the plan, but if I'm trying to, if this beefy Predator dude came to my country yada yada yada. No, I gotta impale you with something. Like I gotta make you feel like I'm not fucking around. Like, nah, you walking to the wrong joint. Like I said, in See Wakanda and Die back in 2008 with T'Challa, he was cutting off heads. Like the first dude he fought was this big old hulking scroll, and he had him choked up. And T'Challa like did some arm joint, broke the arm, dropped down, broke the leg, jumped back up, dug in this man's eye socket, pulled his eye out, and started taunting him. Well, not really taunting him, but he's just like, "You're no match for me." And the scroll falls to the ground. He's like, "Yo, give me a warrior's death." Mind you, he done killed mad Wakandans. He done all this stuff. And the child is like, "No, you don't deserve an honorable death. You can sit there and rot for all I care." That's how he finished off that fight. And then he proceeded on to do more damage to the scrolls. And at the end of that comic was a bunch of scroll bodies piled up. And on the wall, it was written, "This is what happens when you try to invade Wakanda."
I've seen that image, that infamous that page, that one shot.
Yes, exactly. And even in the animated series, which that same comic line was the beginning of that animated series was the beginning of that comic line or that saga. And so, even T'Challa's ancestors were setting up traps. It didn't matter if you were black, white, whatever alien, you're getting fucked up. Like they had the little traps that come up and like the bear trap that goes through your body. Like that's what they were coming with. They were coming with thousands of arrows. So it's just like for T'Challa to just have the spear up to somebody he didn't even like really, he just kicked him. He didn't like fuck him up. He just kicked him and then tell him, "Yo, do you yield?" He might have other weapons. You don't know how this motherfucker fights. He could fight dirty.
I think this has had a lot to do with the code of honor that they had as warriors because this wasn't like a war battlefield fight, and it was at least their specific fight was one where he was like, "Hey, I'm coming to you like an honorable warrior where I'm taking off my armor and I'm waiting on you." Like he waited on him for that we want to run this fate. Kind of similar to the conflict that they had in the first Black Panther movie with Killmonger.
Yeah.
That's what I took that as. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you an honorable."
Fuck that. That's for the throne. That's like a totally different situation. This is the fucking alien we have no knowledge on. Came to my planet, starting fucking up all my women. Like Killmonger didn't spill pretty much any Wakandan blood. Like the first time he got there, besides T'Challa, he wanted to beef with, he wanted to spark it off with T'Challa. Same thing with M'Baku. He didn't have no long trail of Wakandan bodies behind him. It was just like we challenged him for the throne. That's different. This is the alien predator who came to my planet, started butchering my people. I don't know where my little sister at. I don't know what the hell else is going on. Hell no. If I'm gonna get some answers, I'm gonna fuck you up and let you know. Nah, you ain't about to just do whatever the hell you want to. So, man, that was my biggest gripe with it. You feel me? And then for the motherfucker to escape, he escapes. Which to me is cowardice to me, right? The whole honor shit is
out the window. That annoyed me about that too, as far as their lore goes, because they're infamous for when they lose a fight, they blow themselves up. They're like, "I'm gonna take myself, I'm gonna almost essentially committing seppuku, essentially, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna die." So for you to have this one, which I guess makes some sense because they talked about how this brother he was different from the other ones. That he kind of used technology to kind of supplement his lacking physically, so you won't maybe have the same amount of moral that his brother or father has, but that was kind of off. But to your point, I don't know. I feel like that particular scenario isn't foreign to the concept of thing that Wakandans have kind of done for a while, even outside of T'Challa. Because we've seen it with Cap, where like T'Chaka gave him a shield after fighting him. Granted, he didn't spill any blood, but he like literally invaded Wakanda, or is like committing espionage on Wakanda. He beat him, gave him a gift. In this issue, they showed that the Yowza, when they invaded the first time and committed all that murder. They never explained if the Wakandans created the spear for him or they just stole some of the vibranium and then left and created the spear. I don't know if they ever gave any like details on that in particular.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm just trying to see if I can find the line, but yeah, I'm gonna look around for it. I'm gonna see if I can find it while we on this conversation.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. It's weird. Because I feel like it makes sense both ways. I can understand people that are hating it because of the aspect of like, he murdered a bunch of your people, go ahead and kill him. But then I can also understand the aspect of like, okay, even if he's murdered your people, Wakandans still kind of live by a code of ethics and morality that they have there in regards to their customs. And the Yowza, for the most part, are the same way. At least up until this dude ran away.
Yeah. I say you got to kill him on the spot, but stab his leg or something like that, or like maybe stand at a safe. I don't know.
Because he didn't really
I just
slash
feel
him at
like
all or stab him. He got to just like kicked his ass and was just like, all right, bro, it's over with, bro.
what
Like,
I'm saying. He kicked him once and was like,
that,
"Yeah, you're down. I got you. Ah, you fell on your back. Fuck that.
that's
Nah,
from like
get up. Let's do this again. I gotta tear you down. I gotta tear you the fuck down. Ain't gonna be no tap outs. Like,
right,
nah,
right.
you're gonna be leaking before we end this. Like, you're not going home. Like, even if I capture you as a prisoner and I want to interrogate you, still, you might have a little bomb inside your chest. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that could have been handled a lot differently. And again, this story is told when T'Challa is kind of in his for lack of a better word, infancy as the Black Panther. He is not
Right.
used to handling the likes of Doctor Doom or Namor or any other type of like big old character from his Rose Gallery or whatnot. This is very much he's new. You know what I mean? So I guess I can kind of get the naivete, but at the same time, it's Black Panther, like, So yeah, I was very much not even divided on the subject, but I'm really like, this could have ended a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like this fight, I feel like the fight should have been longer, first and foremost.
Hell yeah.
I understand if you had limited room in this, in the issues, I would have just cut out the Falcon and Shuri stuff. Like, if you have to make sure you're part of this, keep her around and have her just like still have her hack attack like she was doing. But that whole extra like 2 to 3 pages of her meeting Falcon, them having witty banter back and forth, and then executing that little where she stabs the gauntlet into the ship to blow it up. I'm like, those pages could have been going towards this fight, and you could have ended this whole conflict with him killing the younger brother, and that would have gave more reason for the older brother to come get the vibranium. Because near the end of the story, I also did find it very hard to believe that T'Challa and his people are aware that vibranium was stolen and was blown up in space, and they just kind of left it there. I feel like they would have been like, yeah, we're gonna go get that stuff and bring it back home. But they like left it out in space to wander, and then the older brother came and got it, and now the Yowza have a buttload of vibranium that they can create weapons with. So I'm like, okay.
Is that how that ended? My bad. I didn't even. I forgot how the older brother and the king found out that he was carrying vibranium. I thought if he like sent a message or some shit.
Yeah. So
I blanked out after I saw because again, Falcon flies Shuri up. Shuri found a way to hack back into the Wakandan grid because the Predators had like their own like max level hacking that even Shuri couldn't figure out. Shuri figures it out. She gets back in the barrier. Falcon flies her up. She takes one of the Predator gauntlets that blow up. The same thing that he was talking about, that CD was talking about before, how they self-destruct. Plants it onto the strip of the escaping joint, and then that's how it blows up. And then after that part, I was just like, what the hell just happened? I thought this was Black Panther versus Predator, not whatever the fuck. Like Falcon and Shuri saved the day. Like, yo, come on. So
on the way out before it blows up, they show that the younger brother sends a message to his older brother, letting him know that I'm coming back for that ass, and I have God metal with me. And then it blows up right away.
Then you blow up
right away. And I guess they get the message, and they're like, well, he said he had God metal. Let's go see if he got any more because we've been fiending for it. And they just go to Earth, find it. And I'm just like, so you telling me that the Wakandans just like, they knew that vibranium was stolen and they just left it in space to wander around when they had this advanced as space program as well. I'm like, bro, they could have just went and got that and brought it back home. But
crazy.
Yeah, I think the ending for this is a little rough, and it could have been stuck a little better. I think it got kind of rushed near the end as well. Yeah, man. All in all, the story was interesting to see the matchup. And you gave a lot of versus battle people. They have some ammunition now in their debates, so they have direct encounters between the Predators and Black Panther now. So people want to get that stuff off. Because Black Panther did some very interesting stuff in here, and the Yowza also did. Because you could talk about the Yowza feats in this, and this being like one of the weaker of the clans, because the younger brother was weaker, and then so. I do feel as though, because we've got an announcement already that the second installment of this essentially is going to be Predator versus Spider-Man, where Spider-Man's going to be the one fighting the Predator. And it's going to be kind of similar to Predator 2, where you had Danny Glover facing off against him in New York in the city and whatnot. So I think it'll be a lot similar to that. But I feel like there should have been a little bit more interaction here between the Yowza and the Predators, especially if this is like a thing that goes back centuries. But maybe we'll see Black Panther get involved in the Spider-Man issue in regards to kind of letting him know how all that stuff works, because he sees it again. And I'm not sure and to what degree of a time gap this is going to be between these events happening as well. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out though. I'm excited. I'm gonna check that out and see what Spider-Man has to do against these people because, especially, I feel like it's a bad matchup, especially because he doesn't kill. So I'm like, you're bringing a
That's what I was
character.
just about to say
Yeah,
that.
you're bringing this character who's notoriously not known for killing and refuses to kill, and you put him up against a race of people who kill for sport and for like legacy. Which
You're
again,
gonna cry
it
you're
could be a
gonna
cool
cry when he
thing,
breaks a neck. Like,
right?
oh my god, why?
It could be
Why?
a cool thing. The writers are doing well. I think that needs to be at bare minimum like a 12 issues run to me to do it
Yeah,
right, to do it justice. But we'll
yeah,
see how long it is.
yeah.
Because this Spider
And
Man,
then you got
it'll probably get a couple run because that's the money maker. They
yeah,
will
and
give
then you
people a
got
run.
Wolverine too. He had an issue before Black Panther was Predator versus Wolverine.
Right,
So I think I were more likely to see Wolverine and Spider Man just because they already have a history, like they have
right,
a
right.
really common history. So, but it would be interesting if they brought everybody who they've already done the verses off with, and then they all find a way to fight back against the Predators. Because again, if now the King and his war general's son are coming to the planet for vibranium or for whatever, because I don't know what the motive was for Wolverine versus Predator. I don't know if it was like the
Yeah,
adamantium was something or whatever the case was, or if it's just like a random predator was trying to hunt down Wolverine just for the sake of the hunt. I don't know if
hmm
that's what it was, and I don't know what's motivation it is for Spider-Man. You know what I mean? So it seems like there's a lot they could do with it, but it depends on what they've done so far. So
the Spider
yeah.
Man one kind of makes sense because it's for the same reason that Craven is always hunting him because he's like the one of the more perfect, I guess,
Hmm.
prizes and pieces of prey because he's so elusive and strong and whatnot.
Yeah.
And same thing with Wolverine. I think that was the inspiration there because we know that most instances the Yowzra come to planets to look
Oh,
for the most capable thing to hunt and put on their mantle, which is why they usually hunt a lot of xenomorphs.
I'm about
Um,
to say, what if they find one of the symbiotes and like a symbiote takes over a predator?
I
Yeah, that just came across my head. Like that is a nasty combination right there.
the only reason I don't think that would happen for this is because they still have the Alien versus Avengers thing going on at the same time, and the
Okay.
symbiote taking over a xenomorph face hugger has already happened in that
Yeah.
one. Yes, I don't know if you watched that,
That
but
is
for people
insane.
that
I haven't
haven't
seen it yet.
for people that haven't read that yet, I may cover that. I may make a video on that. But essentially, you have in this version, I won't give like the long story, but it's the long story short.
Yeah.
The androids that were created by the Wayland Foundation from the Alien movies, they go about, I guess they just snap and they essentially are destroying worlds by dropping 3 xenomorph queen eggs and 2 infested hosts from those planets full with facehugger babies on each planet, and they're just letting the xenomorphs just spread like rapid fire because they essentially
That's
let you know that like
crazy.
within a year, like within a month, xenomorphs can take over like a continent damn near. But after a year, they can overtake a planet with how fast they reproduce.
Dear
So
God.
essentially, they drop them on Earth. This is like a not pre, but this is like a post time dystopian future of the Marvel universe at that point. And the only heroes that are really alive at this point to fight back. And it's just like 60, 70 years in the future. It's an old Tony
Damn.
Stark, an old Bruce Banner, an old Carol Danvers, an old Valeria Richards because she survives, and Miles Morales. And
What?
yeah, Miles is there. So essentially, Valeria finds a face hugger.
Woo!
She finds an egg, but in her attempt to get an egg, she gets implanted with the baby, and she's trying to come up with a virus to kill them all. But her face hugger explodes out. Her chest burster hits her before she can do it. And they're fighting a xenomorph or whatever else. And a face hugger jumps on Miles's face, and they're prepared to kill Miles because at this point they've acknowledged that once it's on you, like you can't get it off, and it's
Oh,
pretty much a wrap. So
yeah.
as they're going to kill him, we realize that his suit isn't just the regular suit that you're accustomed to seeing, but he's had the Venom symbiote on him the entire time. So the Venom symbiote
Oh.
saves him by essentially engulfing the face hugger and taking control over it, and then jumping back on Miles as like a souped up xenomorph symbiote hybrid on top of him. So now he has a new suit where he has new powers in that manner.
Oh, that's
It
nasty.
looks
See, now
this,
that's
yeah,
a way better storyline because I don't know what the hell they doing here with Black Panther. That's a
yeah.
crazy. I mean, granted, they have a little bit more to work with, right? Because they have what are they doing? Are they like 8 issues in or something like that?
There's only 2. So the second one
Oh,
just
there's only
came out the
two.
other day. Yeah, it's only 2
Oh
out
shit,
right
really?
now.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Now I thought they had been started
Yeah,
Alien versus Predator.
all that happens in the first
Or
one.
oh
All that happens in
wow,
the
shit.
first
Well,
issue.
damn, like they cooking then. They cooking with
It's
steam.
really dope. The art style too is kind of reminiscent to if you read the Kingdom Come run by DC. It's kind of like a similar art
Okay.
style to that a little bit. I'm
Okay.
loving
Yeah.
it so
Yeah.
far. I'm loving it. That's why I think I'm going to give that like an actual video on the channel Just because
Yeah.
it's dope, man. It's dope, and it has some
Yeah,
really
yeah.
interesting characters as a part of it. Because again,
Word.
there's them, and then Captain America's in it as well, like briefly for a moment. It's in the second issue.
This is why I have the Marvel app, because if I start spending money on any more comics, I'm just never gonna. There's just so much happening. Like, and the thing with me personally with Marvel and DC comics, like there's always too much happening. I get overwhelmed. There's always like
Mhm.
6 Batman stories going on at a time, always a bunch of
Yeah,
Spider-Man stories
man.
going on at a time. And so I just like I get the Marvel app, I can pick and choose. Like I might be a few months behind, but whatever. I'll take that over spending mad money because I spend enough on what it is as it is. So but yeah, shout out to indie comics, y'all. Y'all keep making them comics, keep making them stories. Don't let any type of thing hold you back. Like use those resources, keep making those indie comics out, keep going to them conventions, keep pushing your shit, man. Cause I love me a good indie or like a third party, like or even a smaller publishing company, like not just Image, but like Boombox. Boombox Comics has a lot of dope joints. Yeah, not small soapbox. I just want to get that out there real
No,
quick.
and I agree. I'm doing a video. I think the video's off of the editor now, where I'm going to be discussing a indie comic publishing company by the name of Midnight Comics.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they do some dope stuff, and they sent me some stuff to look over, and I
Nice.
read a compilation they had. And the video's gonna come out soon, hopefully within like the next week. I was supposed to get it out a while ago, but I had life was lifing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you though. There's always a lot going on in Marvel and DC, and you kind of just have to pick what you want to focus on and just kind of block everything else out, even if everything else looks interesting. And I kind of locked
Mm-hmm.
in on these two because I'm like, oh, Alien and Predator, bro. I'm a horror guy. One's Black
Yeah.
Panther, so I have to lock in on that. So I went to read that, and then for DC, the DC side, I was obviously like absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They're like amazing right
Mm-hmm.
now. Anything
Mm.
else? I think the only other thing I'm gonna read, I'm gonna go back and there is a website. I think it's called In Stock or In Stock Trader. It's essentially a shop online where you can buy a bunch of comics for the low low, and they have like clearance off on
Hey.
them, and they have a lot
Okay.
of the omnibuses there, so you can buy like the full runs of things in a hardbook cover. For
Mm-hmm.
usually omnibuses are like $70 to $100 in your local shop, and like some
Yeah.
of these are like you can buy one for like $30 for some
Oh
of them.
shit.
Like I'm about to go
Nice.
buy the Fear State run they did in 2021, where Scarecrow essentially took over Gotham essentially. And
Yeah,
you
I
have like
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Orphan and Robin and all these characters as a part of it. So I'm gonna buy that at some point within the next week or so, and I may cover that on the channel as well. But
Like,
yeah, I agree with you. There's always a lot going on, but these two stories, as regards to Predator versus Black Panther, and more so Alien versus the Avengers, I think are two stories worth checking out for people that are interested in it.
word. Yeah, no, I'm about to look it up right now. See if I can get caught up on that. Cause that sounds like a lot of fun.
All right. So for people that are watching this, shout out to the people. So I think like the 12 or 13 vertically, and then the people that are watching this horizontally as well. Thank you guys so much for
Whoop.
coming on. If you guys want to see me cover more comic material, again, it's here on the channel as well, as far as like traditional video YouTuber format with the video essay kind of talking head space thing going on there. And I'll be covering some issues that I feel like are worthy of being talked about, but maybe not the best, or maybe I need to talk about them quicker. You'll see those things here in the Captain's Lounge in this version of the content of the channel. I kind of do this weekly. I don't have like a set day I do it yet, because I kind of just do it sporadically with some friends, but I'll cover comics on here, music, whatever I feel like I want to cover without having to sit down and write a script about it for a video. I'll cover it here. So again, if you guys are new to the channel, I cover comics, movies, anime to an extent, games, all that good stuff. You can find all that here on this channel. And if you want to be a part of the community that has a lot of dope stuff to offer as well, and kind of talk about these comics with me and a bunch of other people in the community, I have a link to the Discord in the description of this video for vertical and horizontal people that are watching. You guys can click that, be a part of the community, and just check it out and be a part of some dope people. Without that being said, do you have anything else you kind of want to discuss, or kind of we want to go over the way Black people are represented in comic books? That is something I want to kind of talk about with you really quickly before we got up out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do
Um,
that. Let's do that. Yeah, I mostly buy Black characters, like whether they are indie or well known. Like I'll prioritize those stories because I know how much that means to the creators of them, and I always want to see how we're represented in different lights and aspects from different creators and different minds. And so I'm always going to go for the statics. Like when I went to the comic book store, I picked up the Milestone joint. I picked up a Miles Morales because I know Black Panther was in one of the issues. I picked up Black Panther. There's like this other indie title called Fade, Fade. I think it's like
I think I've heard of it.
yeah, it's like a young girl or like a teenage girl who when she sleeps, she enters like this dream realm, and she's trying to figure out how to get back there. And apparently, it's like this internet sensation where it's like this TikTok where she watches it, and it tells her how to get to the fade, and that's like how she does the process, and then she goes there. So I thought that was a really fun concept. So, but yes, yeah, black characters, that's my jam for sure.
Really quickly, popular nobody, there's just that comment, for the Kendrick album. Funny enough, earlier today I streamed on Twitch because for the live music reactions and watch parties, you guys, I'll be doing that on Twitch just because I can actually listen to the music with y'all without having to worry about a copyright here. But I'm going to chop up that VOD and post that on this channel in regards to my reaction for song with a buddy of mine. And we talked about each song going through it and our thoughts on his music thus far and everything that may come around with that. So if you want to check that out and see my thoughts on the Kendrick album, I guess give me like a day or so, maybe like a couple hours tonight. I had to edit that and chop that up and put that on the channel. But yeah, to your point, I try my best to really support black characters because I do want to let people. I want to harp on this to people that are watching. If you have a hero or a person in regards to comic books that you really enjoy, and you feel like, oh well, maybe they don't get their just due, they don't have a solo run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have to buy books that character shows up in or that character is prominent in. You have to let Marvel and DC or whoever it is that's publishing that character know that character has the interest of the people that are reading these books. Because if we have an instance where, in regards to, I think it happened with the Static run, the last solo Static run, where it comes out and people may be like, oh yeah, that's cool, or people read it illegally and don't really go to purchase it with your own dollar. Now they're like, well, we put this book out, nobody bought it, they must not want Static, and they don't ever go back to Static for a long period of time. Although shuffle them in and like somebody else's story here and there's to kind of add him in because he's still popular. That's why I make it a point to where if I see a book or a character I enjoy, I'll read it virtually, mostly for getting it for the content so I can get the scans. But I go buy the book in the shop. It's like $4 to support the books and the stories and the writers that I want to support, so they get more work.
Yeah, man. Oh, that Static run was amazing. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, yo, why is nobody talking about this? And sometimes it's like, as creators, we got to find a way to like, all right, well, I guess it's got to be me. It's always got to be me. Why do I always got to be the one to talk about shit? So it's like, a bit of a double-edged right there. But yeah, no, I think the same thing about that Static. And maybe it's due to the amount of push that they give Static. Like there should be. Again, I'm going to the comic book store. I'm seeing 6 different titles for Batman. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing any promotions with Static. I'm not seeing any posters with Static. I'm not seeing any like virtual joints, any virtual ads that have Static. And it's like, y'all really want to be able to punch with something like a Miles Morales Spider-Man, then y'all got to put the effort into it. Like Miles Morales was easy to bring up because, you had the Spider-Man legacy, which is already great.
Right.
And so it wasn't super duper hard to break in this new character. And then, things kept on happening. He kept putting him in different joints. He was part of the Champions. He was part of this, part of that. And he got to really develop. And then they worked on a movie. And that movie catapulted Spider-Man. So now you got all these young black kids, or, even black white kids who are just like, oh, I love Miles Morales. I love his hair. He's Afro-Latino too. So it's like now you got the Latin population. So like they put effort into that. And again, if they put effort into Static the same way, like, yo, why are we still doing Infinity Crisis? How many times are we gonna see the Flash run really fast and fuck up the timeline? How many times are we gonna see that? They done did it in the Justice League. They did it in Young Justice. They did it in the movie, which was not even his movie. That was Batman's movie. They did it in the show. So it was like, how many times y'all gonna keep beating this damn cow? Switch it the fuck up. Take this black character who had an amazing cult, not even like a cult following in the 2000s when he had the Static show, which no one knew about Static before. Most people still don't know that he had a comic in the 90s before he came out with Static Shock. And then that brought on so many different super talents. Shaq, Lil Romeo, I think Destiny's Child might have been on an episode or two. And then the amount of topics that they covered, they won an Emmy. So it's like, y'all have a recipe that works. Tap back into that recipe. Tap back in, like, forget anybody who's scared of the woke, whatever. Like, listen, there's some issues to talk about. There's some major issues to talk about in this world. And using comics to talk about that is so key because it brings young people into those conversations, and those conversations help change happen. And as much as I love Static and as much as I love Miles Morales, I haven't really seen that side. Besides him, him and his family dynamic. I'm glad he has both of his parents in the story to start the hell off. Like, that's great to see Black love or Afro Latino love, however you want to put it. Love is love, but it's great to see those conversations and those type of things happen. But with Static, just play on those same things that y'all were doing. When I say y'all, it was really Dwayne McDuffie. You know what I'm saying? I shade to the king himself, but like, if y'all could do the same thing that was going on at that time, y'all have that opens up the world. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's some legal stuff or it's like, oh, they can't use Static this way or they can't. Whoever you got to pay, get it done, DC. Stop playing around. So anyway, that was my double soapbox. I just needed to get that off because like you said, bro, these characters mean so much to us, and it's only right that we do what we got to do. If I can't get enough people to buy the comic, then I gotta talk about it. I gotta make a TikTok about it. I gotta come into the Captain Diesel's dojo and talk about it. So right on, bro. You spot on with that.
We're gonna talk about it. And I do have a quick comment for that and something else to plug, I guess, in that same vein. But before we do that, we get another super chat, guys, in the building again. My guy, Popular Nobody. I do want to thank you, my man. He lets me know that he has been sub for a minute. Keep grinding, bro. Rooting for everyone Black. I appreciate that, man. Hey. Especially like comments like that really mean a lot because sometimes you'll see the views in the comment. You'll see the views on certain videos, so you never know, okay, who's really watching and enjoying or who's just like subbing just because. So it feels good to see that there are actual people that enjoying the content that I'm putting out and things of that nature and seeing the other people that I bring on. So I really do appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the $5. For
sure.
But to your point though, with Static in particular, I'm praying that, and I think I've heard a little bit of news from James Gunn discussing like his intention to bring him into the Gods and Monsters universe, or at least bare minimum, give him his own, whether it be an animated series or a show at some point, or maybe a movie in this run or just in the DC world. I have seen James Gunn somewhere. I gotta see where it was. I don't know if it was an interview, a video, or it was just a like an article that he was a part of where he did say he planned on bringing him into the universe at some point, and as well as Blue Beetle and characters like that. That's why I'm like, when James Gunn took over the planning for DC, I was so excited. I'm so happy because he's somebody who's an actual fan of these characters and of the comics. And already enough, like the fact we're getting a Green Lantern show and you're putting John Stewart front and center. You got a John Stewart statue put up in LA. I'm like, okay, this is dope. This means that he's really like giving everybody a little taste of dope stuff. So I'm hoping we get more of that from him. But even besides him, if people want to check out more dope Black stuff, I don't know if you know about this run that's happening as well with DC. That's kind of in the same timeline of the Absolute Comics, but in the DC All In stuff, they're doing a new Black Lightning run right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So I got a video recorded on that I have. Again, I'm getting that edited as well. I'm gonna put a video out for that. But Black Lightning is essentially, this is on the tails of Absolute Power, where Amanda Waller stole all the heroes' abilities and all that good stuff. And what I like about that so far is that heroes are essentially getting their powers back, but some of the heroes aren't maybe getting their full powers back, or some of them are getting back their powers that are altered in a certain way. But essentially, we're seeing that Thunder, Anissa, his oldest daughter, got her powers back, but now her powers are a little bit boosted, or she has maybe parts of her sister's powers. So we're just it's like a family affair. We get to see Jefferson Pierce, Anissa, and Jennifer kind of do their thing as a family. And I talked about it in the video, but like the first issue in that, like the first page, we see off top, we're seeing a Black man in therapy where he's dealing with the trauma from the Absolute Power stuff. And then he's like having a good relationship with his ex-wife as well as his kids. So I'm like seeing that kind of positive stuff, as well as seeing them go get their own tale and adventure. It was dope to see that with that. So if you guys want to support some more Black stuff in regards to comic wise and what's going on right now, check out that Black Lightning run. Issue 1 is out. I gotta look to see when the second issue comes out. I gotta go to my comic shop and ask them to pull that run for me as well, because it's looking like I'm about to spend a bunch of money on comics again here in the coming future, because Blood Hunt killed me and burnt me out for a little bit, but I'm kind of ramped back up now to check out comics.
Oh yeah, I gotta finish. I did Black Panther Blood Hunt. I forgot to finish the main story. It's been sitting on my desk for like 2 months. I gotta go finish that for sure.
You may be annoyed. You possibly may be annoyed. I'm just gonna give you that warning there.
Come on,
I didn't like the way it ended personally, but I think some people liked it. Some people enjoyed it. I think all in all, it was a good run all in all, but I didn't enjoy how that story ended. But yeah, to your point, I agree. I think that we're definitely, hopefully now in the age where we're going to start seeing a lot more Black characters take center stage in a lot of areas. Like right now, again, another one. I keep bringing up runs, but Storm is having an amazing run right now.
Oh, word.
Yeah, because they brought her onto the Avengers and she was doing some crazy stuff, but like now she has this thing where she has this like radioactive poisoning going on with her where she's like dying. But the
Oh.
god Eternity is like saying that he has plans for her to be like this eternal storm, celestial being. I don't, it's a lot of stuff going on with Storm's run right now. I have to start it from the beginning, but she has some dope stuff going on. If you want to see somebody cover that, my guy Ernie at Blur Without Fear at his channel, y'all have probably seen him at some point. He's big. He's one of the bigger guys that has covered comics on YouTube, but he's covering the Storm run right now as well. But all in all, to Ace's point, people, if you do care about seeing representation and Black characters on screen, you got to invest in. You got to give your time, a little bit of your money in there, especially when it comes to comics, because it's like $4 or $5. You go pick up a comic for $4.35, and showcase that people do want to see more of these Black stories and these Black characters on screen. But I do want to say this though. I do have a little beef with some people because I feel like there is a thing where we want these stories, but I feel like we only want the stories in a particular fashion, if that makes sense. Because I realized earlier you gave some sentiments on one of the guys I guess you met in the chat where you was like, well, I want to see more of the Dora Milaje ass kicking or something of this sort. I can't remember exactly what it was that you guys said that guy said, but I feel like if you're going to bring Black people into the fold with some of these stories, you have to show them in every facet possible. We have to be shown as strong people. I first and foremost, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Like we need to be shown as that we're capable and strong. But everybody can't be good. Everybody can't be capable. Everybody can't be the best character there. Sometimes you can have a slimy character who's horrible and one of the worst people ever. Like you have to show that Black people are not just a monolith, that we're created in different forms and fashions. So I said it to say people need to have a little bit more of an open mind sometimes in the way some characters are portrayed. Now, if the entire run or whatever it is where you're seeing a bunch of Black characters get beat up on all the time and shown in a not appeasing way, I can understand that. But in a story like this where it's surrounded by 90% Black characters or aliens, I'm like, you can show some characters getting demolished. You can show some weakness in certain characters because you have just as the equal amount being strong in the other vein and on the flip side of that. But that is something I wanted to kind of like bring up and discuss a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of Black Panther fans have seen kind of what you mentioned. Like it seems like they have the opportunity to really like give a certain character the spotlight to really shine and do what they're supposed to do, but then they kind of do this thing where it's like, well, they just don't do it. Right. But like, so for example, you got the Avengers comic run where T'Challa is like kicking ass, like he's doing all this technologically advanced stuff. He's doing this, he's doing that. But then he's got his own series where he's getting kicked out of his country. Everybody's pretty much pointing fingers at him for being a shit leader, even though he saves the planet on a regular fucking basis. But none of that matters right now, does it? Because you want democracy. Oh, okay, cool. Wakanda's not thriving. Oh boy, wow. So it's just like, you know, there and some people will feel slighted, and the other side of it is like people feel slighted because Shuri is shown in a certain light, like she's shown as being more capable, or she's shown being as you know, whatever. But I was listening to this one podcast from a bunch of different comic writers, and they were saying that with her being in T'Challa's, not his shadow, but her being able to learn from T'Challa because she's not dealing with some of the same challenges and traumas and all this weight or whatnot, that kind of lines her up to be a great Black Panther, you know what I'm saying? And she has all this intelligence, and some people will even say that a lot of the T'Challa's intelligence got pushed on to Shuri, like when the movie came out, because before she wasn't the tech junkie. She was like, you know, just a badass who was a little bit hot-headed. And T'Challa had the technological prowess, but now that Shuri has the technological prowess and she's quote unquote smarter than him, right? She's been able to come up with all this technology and everything like that, which is great. But can they come together to build? Can they come together to show how much more powerful Wakanda is when you have a Black Panther and you have a Shuri together? It's not, oh, Shuri can be a better Black Panther, or Shuri can be a smarter character, and you don't got to stuff her down our faces. Just show that they're able to work together to solve their problems. So that's the thing about, you know, people who are writing things. Sometimes they're writing to add drama. They're writing to show one character a certain light and the character another light. It should be synergetic. So a lot of people have a big issue with that, and I also have a big issue with that because, again, you've had this mantle that's been built up by this character, and you know this mantle is something that should be catapulted to the stars. But There's people who think they know what people want, and that's not really what people want. People don't want to just see a replacement to T'Challa. People want to see T'Challa shine, but they want to see all of Wakanda shine. They want to see all these characters that Wakanda has shine. So one day I would love to see that they have a Black Panther title, a Shuri title, a Tosin title, a Ramonda title, the same way they got a Batman, a Robin, a Red Hood, a Harley Quinn, a Poison Ivy, like all these different things. So, but again, it's up to the people to keep pushing it, to see the truth, to keep supporting people like Captain Dojo or Captain Diesel and Ace the Outsider, and really get that voice out to those companies who act like they listening, but it seems like we're not kicking down the door enough. So,
and we're gonna hopefully see more of that. And the one thing before we get ready to go about it, I wanted to remind you, I just now remembered for the Avengers vs. Aliens storyline, that whole run, T'Challa's in that as well. In this dystopian future, this is, I think it's kind of following a lot of the trends where you saw the Wakandans populating other planets. So they're essentially other colleagues that the Wakanda's on now, but you see him and his son are now working because they found the xenomorphs initially. Like the story, I forgot that the story starts off with the Wakandans finding the xenomorphs and like taking them out, and then they now some of these were sent to Earth, and then you cut to Earth. So we're gonna see Black Panther and his son. I think it's Azari is his name. We're gonna see we're gonna see them interact and fight the xenomorphs there. But I wanted to remind you that. I'm like, I figured you like that, seeing that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. When I was first reading Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, I'm like, okay, well, where does it go for here? And then the niggas went back to Earth, and I'm like, okay. And then this little democracy drama that T'Challa's having. Never mind the 5 galaxies, the 5 Star Wars that exist under this man's, because he's the emperor of 5 different galaxies now. So like, why aren't we using that? Why is this little democracy, this little sour chick that mad because Wakanda's not being shown in the right light? Why is that more of a story than T'Challa going back to the stars? And then when he gets kicked out of his own damn country, he goes to another city where he's like, oh, well, how am I going to figure myself out? He's more like a Batman type of character. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but what about 5 galaxies? Like, put him in the stars. So I'm glad that they're kind of using that, as a vehicle. So which I'm also reading Ultimate Black Panther right now, which is pretty good. So, but I can talk about that another time. But definitely go pick that up.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. Do you want to again let everybody know where they can find you again in your platforms?
Yeah, find me on everywhere. Ace the Outsider, Instagram, TikTok. I'm also on Facebook. Ace the Outsider, THE Outsider. I review a couple of different comic titles. Well, Black Panther is like the main thing that I'm doing because I'm trying to put that back into a program where I'm teaching kids again. So stay on the lookout for Wakanda Alignment. All right, check that out soon. I also do capoeira, so you're gonna see some me doing videos, martial arts, whatnot. Then I also have a collective called Hidden Village, and we do cosplay parties, we do events, we do conversations, we do a whole bunch of different things. So check us out on Instagram, Hidden Village 716, and check out the outfits. We got a sick DJ. Our mutual good buddy Lelouch is also part of that, so shout out to him. Blurred is coming up, in December, so we're gonna have a dual event December 7th. So I'm super looking forward to that. So I can't wait to see the homies from Blurred.
It's gonna be dope. Yeah, I think Terrell talked about that earlier. He's gonna be pulling up for that. So you got the big dogs from Blurred coming up for that. That's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, y'all check out Ace. My guy, I almost used a government name almost accidentally, but yeah, this is dope. This is one of the people I've met in person that I talked about it before. There's not too many people I get along with right away. This man has great energy from my first time meeting him, like immediately during a busy day. Like we were at the convention kind of working off rip, but it was just dope. So you had dope energy, man. You're a dope person. I appreciate you for coming on. But yeah, y'all, this has been Captain Diesel of Captain Diesel's Dojo. Well, this is the dojo, but this is the Captain's Lounge, y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. And
you're now watching the Captain.
And we'll see you guys later. Peace.